how does shipping or how does freight work with a product like this? Great question, and along with the ceiling height question, this is probably one of the most common that we get. So there are a couple of different options as to how shipping and freight works. Now remember, we're not Amazon Prime, and our product isn't really Amazon Primeable. It is huge. They're big, they're long, they're heavy, they're robust, as you'd expect trying to buy one of our lifts. So let's walk through from the most common and easy, straightforward option, all the way down to some of the more limited but higher cost options that make things a little bit easier for you. The most straightforward option, if you happen to be in vicinity of one of our warehouses, is you can certainly pick up at no loadout cost. And if you pick up from our current facilities in Delaware or in Portland, Oregon, no sales tax either. So a great benefit if you happen to be in the area. Now let's assume those are a little bit further away than you want to drive to. The next most cost-effective and the most common option we do for freight is we'll ship to a receiving hub that we have a relationship with. Now understand, our lifts, because they're greater than 8 feet long, as you can understand, the runways are much longer, they classify as an oversized shipment. So while there's a lot of freight carriers in the world, only so many of them are willing to, at an affordable negotiated rate that we have done for you, ship these things across the country. So what we would do is we would determine where you're located, find the closest freight hub that will receive your order. They will unload it from the enclosed box semi-trailer, and they'll actually drive it down to ground level. So when you show up with your trailer, they can load you up from the end, not over your fenders, but from the end, they'll load you up. We would ship to that hub. They'll again receive it and then load you out. You simply strap it down and haul it home. That's the most common, most popular option that we go with for most customers, because a lot of our customers have access either personally or through a fend to a car trailer, so it makes it very easy and again, most cost effective. The next option would be if you have a commercial address with a dock door and a forklift. I can, in most scenarios, or my team can get a lift shipped to most locations in the country. Granted, and as you'll understand, there are some limited access or rural areas they do not service. And if you're in that area, I apologize, but you probably already know that. So in those scenarios, we would have to quote directly to your location, but you would be responsible for the unloading. So when the truck shows up, you have to receive the driver, you have to then take and get the product out of the truck. If you have the proper equipment and the proper dock door, this is likely not an issue for you because it's something that you're familiar with. The last option, the more higher cost option, but easiest if you don't have access to something like a trailer or a truck to bring this back home with, or you simply want what we call the easy button option. This is what we call a flatbed and forklift delivery by the carrier. Now again, this is not something that they offer in every location. It is generally limited to a number of miles outside of a major metro or outside of the hub location. Again, because it's more of a limited service, they're not willing to offer that everywhere. How this works, we quote directly to your location. The carrier would have to know that you have access or room for them to bring a flat, generally 53-foot trailer in. They'll have a tag-along forklift that's actually on the back of the machine will then come off. We'll actually grab the lift from the side, raise it up, and while moving it from the side, so again, it's going to be grabbing from the side, so it's quite wide, they would drive that up to your location. So you are responsible to make sure they have access to get there. If they show up and you have a need for about 16 feet of width and you have 6, they're not going to be able to make that one work for you. So make sure that you are looking at your scenario and you have access. Now, the carrier itself is not obligated to deliver this into your garage. In fact, the way that it is written is they are not supposed to cross a threshold, and this is for liability, so they do not create damage to your property. Let's say you had a Classic or some sort of car there, they don't want to hit that one for you. So they will bring it up to the threshold, but again, these guys are pretty good. This is what they do every day, so you can generally communicate with them and they'll work with you quite well. So to recap, the kind of freight and shipping world, great question, big products. You can pick up at one of our nationwide warehouses. We can ship it to one of the partner hubs we work with. We can have this delivered commercial where you have a dock and a flatbed, or excuse me, a forklift to unload it, or we can go flatbed and forklift delivery if you're in a vicinity that the carrier is able to deliver to. If you have questions on that, feel free to give us a call, but that should give you a pretty good idea of how this gets delivered because it's not something the Postal Service can bring to your door. We do have to go through freight carriers.